Ever feel like everything you do has to be perfect? You're not alone. We're kicking off this journey into the realm of perfectionism, a psychological concept that, while seeming desirable on the surface, often poses more of a challenge than a benefit. Perfectionism isn't just about striving for excellence or setting high standards. It's an unrelenting drive for flawlessness, a refusal to accept any standard short of perfection. It's that nagging voice in the back of your head insisting that good enough just isn't enough. Now, where does this come from? Well, it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation. Some psychologists suggest that perfectionism may stem from early social interactions and expectations. Maybe you were praised as a child for being perfect, creating a link between perfection and acceptance in your mind. Or perhaps you felt a pressure, real or imagined, to live up to impossible standards. On the other hand, perfectionism could also be a personal drive, an intrinsic desire to be the best, to never make a mistake. It might be fueled by fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough. The Bible itself addresses this struggle with perfectionism. In Ecclesiastes, it says, "There is no righteous man on earth who does good and never sins." It's a reminder that we're human, and humans are inherently flawed. To illustrate, let me share a personal story. Growing up, I was a perfectionist in every sense of the word. I remember spending hours on a single homework assignment, obsessing over every detail, every word, and the result? A lot of stress, burnout, and ironically, less than perfect grades. It was a hard lesson to learn that striving for perfection often does more harm than good. But perfectionism isn't all it's cracked up to be. Let's dive into why. Perfectionism can paralyze us, preventing progress. Sound familiar? It's like being trapped in a cycle where you're constantly striving for the unreachable, the unattainable, the perfect. And this relentless pursuit can have debilitating effects. To put this into perspective, let's delve into the world of academia. A study led by Professor Gordon Flett from York University in 2012 found a strong correlation between perfectionism and procrastination. The participants who exhibited higher levels of perfectionism were more likely to delay tasks, fearing that they wouldn't be able to complete them to their exacting standards. This procrastination, in turn, often led to a decline in productivity and personal satisfaction. But the paralysis of perfection doesn't stop at procrastination. Another study, conducted by Professor Joachim Stober from the University of Bath in 2010, found that perfectionism can lead to stress and burnout. In their research, they found that perfectionists tend to set excessively high goals and standards for themselves, which can lead to chronic stress when these standards are not met. Over time, this stress can build up, leading to burnout and a decrease in overall well-being. It's like being in a race with a finish line that keeps moving further away. No matter how fast you run or how hard you push, you never seem to reach it. And in this race, there's no second place or consolation prize. It's either perfection or nothing. This all-or-nothing mentality can be crippling, leaving us paralyzed in our pursuit of perfection. But here's the catch. Perfection is an illusion. It's a mirage in the desert of reality. It's unattainable because it's subjective, varying from person to person. What may be perfect for one person may not be for another. So this relentless pursuit of perfection is, in essence, a wild goose chase. So how can we break free from this paralyzing perfectionism? Stay tuned as we delve into our next segment, where we'll explore how to embrace progress over perfection and free ourselves from the shackles of this debilitating mindset. Remember this, the mantra of this video. Progress, not perfection, should be our goal, because in the grand scheme of things, it is progress that truly matters. The key to breaking free? Embrace progress over perfection. In the hustle and bustle of life, we often find ourselves chasing after the elusive idea of perfection. But here's the thing. Perfection is not only unattainable, it's also not the most productive way to live our lives. Instead, we should be focusing on progress. What is progress, you ask? It's the act of moving forward, no matter how small the steps may be. It's about recognizing that every little bit of effort counts, and that each step, no matter how small, brings us closer to our goal. Let's turn to science for a moment. A study from the University of California in 2012 by a researcher named Hill found something interesting. The study showed that focusing on progress rather than perfection can lead to increased motivation and productivity. That's right. Hill found that when individuals focused on the progress they were making towards their goals, rather than how perfect the end result had to be, they were more motivated to keep going. They were more productive too. It turns out that seeing how far you've come can fuel your desire to keep pushing forward. It's like taking a road trip. If you focus only on the destination and ignore the journey, you'll miss out on all the beautiful sights along the way. But if you take the time to appreciate how far you've come, you'll find the journey much more fulfilling. So, how does this apply to breaking free from perfectionism? Well, when we focus on progress, we shift our attention from the unattainable ideal of perfection. We start to value the journey, the learning, and the growth that comes with each step we take. We start to see that it's not about being perfect. It's about becoming better than we were yesterday. But how can we start prioritizing progress? Let's equip ourselves with some tools to start prioritizing progress. First off, set realistic goals. Start small and gradually work your way up. It's not about climbing Mount Everest in a day, but rather taking one step at a time. Every journey begins with a single step, and every masterpiece begins with a single brushstroke. So instead of aiming for perfection right off the bat, aim for progress. Secondly, celebrate your small victories. Did you finally manage to wake up early today? Or did you resist the urge to procrastinate and finish that report on time? Well, give yourself a pat on the back. It's important to acknowledge these moments, no matter how trivial they may seem. Each small victory is a step towards a bigger accomplishment. Thirdly, practice self-compassion. This is where our fourth scientific point comes into play. A study from the University of Texas in 2011, led by Dr. Kristen Neff, showed that self-compassion can help combat perfectionism. The study found that individuals who were kinder to themselves, who acknowledged their flaws and forgave their mistakes, were less likely to be perfectionists. In essence, self-compassion is about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend in a similar situation. It's about acknowledging that everyone, including you, is a work in progress. When I was first learning to bake, I wanted my cakes to be perfect, but they never were. They would come out lumpy or burnt or just plain weird. And I often found myself not even wanting to start on a baking project for fear of imperfections. But I chose to embrace my imperfect cakes, instead of ignoring what I inherently love to do. I started celebrating each small improvement and began being kinder to myself when things didn't go as planned. And you know what? I became a better baker. And every now and then, I produced what I considered to be a perfect cake. So remember these three tools: set realistic goals, celebrate small victories, and practice self-compassion. And remember, as the Bible says in Ecclesiastes 7:20, "For there is not a just man upon earth that doeth good and sinneth not." Embracing progress over perfection is not just beneficial, it's empowering. Let's delve into the power of progress, shall we? When you focus on progress, you cultivate a growth mindset. This mindset, as psychologist Carol Dweck explains, is a belief that abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. It's the understanding that every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. And each victory, each step forward, bolsters our self-esteem. It's like we're building a fortress of confidence, brick by brick. Moreover, progress allows us to shed the heavy cloak of stress that perfectionism often drapes over our shoulders. Perfectionism, with its unrelenting standards and constant fear of failure, is a breeding ground for stress. Progress, on the other hand, is more forgiving. It acknowledges that we're human, that we stumble, and it encourages us to stand up and keep going. It's like a gentle breeze that blows away the clouds of stress, allowing the sun of satisfaction to shine through. Now, let's talk about productivity. Perfectionism, in its quest for the unattainable, often leads us into a quagmire of procrastination. Progress, however, is all about moving forward. It's about setting achievable goals, reaching them, and then setting new ones. It's a perpetual motion machine that keeps us productive and propels us towards our dreams. And this isn't just conjecture, there's scientific evidence to back this up. A study from the University of Nevada in 2015, led by Fushia Siroe, found that individuals who prioritized progress over perfection displayed improved mental health. They experienced less anxiety, less depression, and a greater sense of well-being. So it seems that embracing progress over perfection isn't just a good idea. It's a scientifically validated path to better mental health. Remember that saying that goes, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." So let's take that step. Let's embrace progress. Let's celebrate each stride we make, each hurdle we overcome. Because in the end, it's not about being perfect. It's about growing, learning, and moving forward. Remember, progress, not perfection, is the goal. Before we wrap up, here's a bonus tip for those who've stayed with us. Let me share a little personal story. I used to be a perfectionist, always chasing after an impossible standard. But then I stumbled upon a quote, "Done is better than perfect." It resonated with me so deeply that I decided to put it to the test. I started focusing on completing tasks rather than perfecting them. The result? I was more productive, less stressed, and surprisingly, the quality of my work improved. Here's the bonus tip. Give yourself the permission to be imperfect and see the magic unfold. Now, it's your turn. We'd love to hear your stories, your struggles, and how you're embracing progress over perfection. So go ahead and share your journey in the comments. Subscribe and comment. Remember, progress is a journey, not a destination. As we close, remember the wise words from Theodore Roosevelt. Do what you can with what you have, where you are. These words hold a profound truth that we often overlook. We are often so focused on the end goal, the perfect result, that we forget the journey that leads us there. Consider this for a moment. Each step you take, no matter how small, is progress. Each mistake you make and each failure you encounter, they're all part of your progress. They're not setbacks. They're setups for a comeback. They're not stumbling blocks. They're stepping stones. And just as a sculptor chips away at a block of marble to reveal the masterpiece within, so too must we chip away at our own imperfections, not to achieve some unattainable ideal of perfection, but to reveal our own unique masterpiece within. The key is to embrace the process, to find joy in the journey, and to celebrate each step forward, no matter how small. Our lives are a constant work in progress. Each day presents a new opportunity for growth, for learning, for improvement. So let's not burden ourselves with the weight of perfection. Let's free ourselves from this unattainable ideal, and instead let's strive for progress. Remember, progress isn't linear. It's not a straight line from point A to point B. It's a winding path, filled with ups and downs, twists and turns. But each step forward, no matter how small, is progress. And that, my friends, is something to celebrate. So as we part ways today, I encourage you to take these words to heart. Reflect on them, apply them to your own life. Remember that you are a work in progress, and that's a beautiful thing. Remember, perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. Until next time, keep embracing progress over perfection.